I run Citizens Eye. My name's John Coster, and it's like a community news agency. And with the 20 news agencies we've got, they're all about different issues and different subjects. So, you know, from refugee and asylum seekers through to ex-offenders, young, old, photography and things like that. And what we try and do is every time we do any projects, like our 12-month-long 2012 project, it's about getting everybody to kind of network and get involved. And it's not about money, so it's about enthusiasm, it's not about the quality of the kit. It's about the fact you want to do it and you're keen to know. So today, you know, we had like 10 young people from a special needs school and 20 pupils from the primary school, you know, an able-bodied primary school. And the first thing we did was we mixed all the groups up on the table and we dived straight in. You know, I've got a teacher in the corner crying because her special needs kids don't normally do that kind of stuff, like stand up and feedback, and she's totally gobsmacked. And what we have to do really is use the opportunities we've got to try and force the stereotypes and myth bust all the work we've done with Special Olympics and stuff like that. You know. And what I was realising was that, you know, Nick came up with a fantastic idea of setting up a documentary club 3 years ago. We were sitting at dinner with our other halves, and we've got the pink napkin. We've all signed to prove it as well. And since then, it's kind of, you know, it's gone through a bit of a up and down phase, but I think it's got itself into a bit of a groove here now at the Phoenix, and hopefully it will grow throughout 2012 into being a really good social evening around inviting people to join a sort of a social documentary club, watch something, come out and have a beer and kind of talk about it. And I think it's really good, and if any of you have experienced it, it's a really good vibe, and I'd encourage you to join that. With a vision to doing the Doc Film Festival this year, the first thing I always tend to do is test it out for a day, which we did last year. For one day, and then if we're going to do it, it needs to be not 2 days, it needs to be bigger. So by the time you do it on the third year, you know whether it should be big. I think the Zombie Fest, for example, works because it's only 1 day, but it's all day. So we've learned from that model for the Aniscape Animation Festival in March, where rather than 3 days, we're only going to make it an education day on the Friday and a one long zombie-like fest day on the Saturday. We've got lots of contacts that I've made through setting up the Doc Film Festival this year with Dogwolf, Tiger Lily Films, sort of documentary houses down in London. We've been contacted now from across the world. Lots of other festivals are quite interested in sort of partnering up with us and stuff, which is great. So I'd like to think that was as much about the fact we stick it on Twitter. It's a great medium. And the feedback I was getting was, you know, people have come last year, you're back again, that's great, that's fantastic. And then, you know, knew about Lucy, and Lucy said, well, I've got these great films that I've made about protests and stuff, can you do that? You know, I'm a doctor at Glenfield Hospital, but I make films in my spare time, you know, it's totally random. And you suddenly realise that when you start talking to people, there's lots of people out there that are doing things, they're interested in watching documentaries or getting involved or are running it as a business, that really, what we don't have is maybe a sort of a quarterly networking opportunity that's a little bit different from rather than meeting, say, weekly or every month and that kind of stuff. And really what I want to try and do is identify what's out there already, like Keith's producers group that meets here every week, and work with those guys and kind of and expand or contract from that and try and fill in the gap that's there for certain things, and keep an eye out, a bit of a chat, and maybe things like, you know, networking opportunities outside of Leicester or attracting some funding. So what I'd like to do is propose to you guys tonight something and just see whether it's of interest. The only way it's going to work is if you're of interest and you're going to get involved and bring other people. And the most important thing, what I'm immediately looking to do after tonight, is give away ownership of it to other people, because that's the only way it's going to work. So the idea is to have a quarterly networking event here at the Phoenix, which isn't like this. It'll involve a marketplace, and that's either you promoting what you do or looking to attract people. So we'll be having like a speed matching event, which unfortunately we couldn't get off the ground now because a lot of charities won't come to an event on a Friday night. But the one we did back in November for Community Media Week was on a Wednesday, and the idea is to attract community groups or charities or businesses that are looking to have documentary films or informational films made. So there'll be people here pitching for live business. And also to have a series of talks, short talks. Now, whether that's from people within the network or invited guests, and I think that's as much for you to turn around and go, I think this person would be quite good to come and talk, rather than just relying on the people responsible. And also some like Q&As and some workshops as well, if you think it's useful. What I'd like to do is to set up two particular things. One is a funding pot with some money in it. So I'm going to chuck 200 quid of my own money in it and go, right, this is the Doc Film Network, you know, it's got £200 in the bank, how's it going to use it? And then kind of try and work on some sort of crowdsourcing models, or any models anybody else knows out there, whether we go after funding based on, you know, legacy of the Cultural Olympiad or whatever. And what I'd like to do is also set up alongside that like a skills bank or a time bank, where people turn, a bit like how the producers group works, but if someone wants to actually make a documentary, the money that's in that pot of funding can actually be used. It's great sometimes to turn around and say, well, you know, if you kind of do that for me, I'll do that for you. But I think sometimes if you're actually working on a project, you really want to do it. If there's some money there, maybe that's something that, you know, we can run with the producers group or something like that. So take that.
Well, I was going to say, you know, it would to open up what we do to anybody, because it's free to do, to come down and meet. There's something we're going through, something very soon, so we're trying to constitute the group, so it gives us the opportunity to go out and do exactly the same, to get money in, which is then there for people. If a job comes in that we can use, and when it comes into a central pot, which then we can open up to pitching, or people come in and say, I need this for a film. So yeah, I
think the most important thing is we don't duplicate anything you're doing, and if anything, it's to add this core.
Well, it's communication, basically.
Yeah, so that's cool. I'm glad we had a chat the other day. Routes to market. We've got a really good relationship now with the Media Trust, with Citizens Eye being the first beacon hub of citizens journalism last November. And what the Media Trust does is it actually runs the community channel that's it's on Sky now and Virgin and Freeview, and I think it's the UK's only digital sort of channel that deals with community groups and stuff. Now they've piloted and run quite successfully something in London called London 360, and I think they're on their 4th or 5th now UK 360. But what they're looking to do is they're not looking to go and film places; they're looking for people to submit content. Due to Citizens Eye and the fact we're in the Phoenix and kind of all the people we hang out with, they've actually said, you know, if you can create enough content for an hour, we would actually show and take a Leicester 360 from you as well, so because we've got a great venue. So what we're going to do with the Doc Film Network is look to talk to the Phoenix about having dedicated studio time downstairs for anybody that's involved in the Doc Film Network to use that space for them to be able to develop any of the ideas that they've got. Okay.
What channel was that, Sergio?
The community channel.
Community channel?
Yeah, so it's on Freeview and Sky and Virgin and stuff like that. And also, any of the documentaries that are showing this weekend are being sent down to the community channel. So they could end up on telly. That'd be cool. And also trying to reach out and have a bit of a regional thing as well. We're showing some films this weekend, some documentaries that were made in Derby and Nottingham, and I just think that, you know, we need to have a bit of a regional feel to what we do with the Doc Film Network as well. And also with one eye on next year, Doc Film 2013, to, you know, have 3 networking events and then hopefully a bit of a showcase of someone that's made a documentary in the meantime. We're showing 16 Dogwolf films this weekend, and I'm a Dogwolf ambassador, which basically means you can book a Dogwolf film and pop it up anywhere with their pop-up cinema. And they've got a Dogwolf indie side as well, which is was set up specifically to help independent documentary filmmakers to get their films out there. And they've said that when we do one of our quarterly networking events, they'll send someone up from Dogwolf specifically to talk to people that are looking to distribute their documentary through that. I've spoken to a business advisor about making themselves available either by email or during one of the networking events to answer questions specifically about taking maybe what you do now as an amateur, if you like, and making it into a business. There's a few established, well-established sort of, business people here, whether that's sole trade or limited companies and all that. There's a lot of knowledge around this table, and maybe it could be useful to do that. But this lady used to work here, Kate used to work here, so I was chatting to her about it. Now there's like business incubation units here for start-up businesses and all that, but I said to her, rather than anyone interested in the network going straight there, maybe what we should do is kind of have an opportunity where they can meet you independently to talk it and see whether it's what they actually need. Sometimes you need an office, sometimes you don't. I think the important thing is it's about signposting, supporting people, and really trying to organise that quarterly opportunity for people to come together with extra stuff, whether that's workshops, whether that's talks, whether that's opportunities to get guest speakers in and stuff like that. So that's kind of the people I've spoken to or kind of run it by the Doc Film Network is really about, and it's more a case of maybe getting some feedback from you guys, thinking whether it's something useful to do.
Could it be incorporated on 7.5? So with 7.5 we do each call, we do something on docs? Or do you want to see it 7.5?
I think part would be a good part for it should be its own entity. But you work in conscious. If we've got something, then you let the Doc Film Network know and vice versa. So you help each other.
I just think it's you have people that make lots of different types of films, don't you? And I think
it's specifically Doc, isn't it?
It's pretty much focused on that. But that doesn't mean that someone maybe who's got camera equipment or lights or something like that wouldn't be up for someone who wants to make a documentary, but is not a camera person or a light person or a sound person, stuff like that. So that's where the crossover came, and the kind of the funding source there, if you like, was an opportunity to say there might be money to use to be able to pay people for their time or the use of hiring equipment and stuff like that. Anything we can do to kind of help that grassroots thing, I mean, quite good. So some of you guys are kind of established documentary filmmakers. What do you think? Without signing anything, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, sounds great. Yeah. If we do this quarterly. No, what I like about you, John, is you just get people together. So like, none of us would be sitting together today. So I think we can do it quarterly. I'm up for coming here every few months, and
I just thought, you can have it monthly and all that, and it's just like. Whereas if you had it quarterly, it's a date in your diary.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
There's no
really
value
good idea.
in it. If people here don't see any value in every 3 months meeting up and saying, actually, I'm making this documentary, I need a cameraman who can do it, and then almost like turning around to the network in advance and saying, look, I'm doing this, and the network might turn around and go, well, actually, there's 150 quid for that, or 300 quid, or, to get it going. It's not about thousands and thousands of pounds, maybe it will be this time next year. But I'll stick £200 on the table just because I think you get so much feedback from people who have said, look, when I had a lady almost like pass out on the email. I've never seen a woman pass out on an email. The lady in America who's just like, you're showing my pet rescue film, that's on in the social documents. Well, George is doing it. He's an online moderator for socially minded documentaries. She's like, I might get a ticket and come over from Pennsylvania last week. She was like, it's the best news I've had all day, what a great start to the year. And I was just like, God, I haven't even watched it. George said, we should put that on at number 14 or whatever it is on the 16 showcases. So we obviously made some, I don't know, she might be here actually, we made someone's, we made her day.
She's in there watching it on her own.
And it's things like that, and Lucy's made, so you've got 4 of yours that are on, and Tom's made 3 that we're showing this weekend, and you just think, well, you said it's nice to see Coping with Drought on a big screen tomorrow, and even if it's just that, even if it's every quarter, a bit like you do, you're saying you produce a really good show.
Yeah, we wanted to, it was like having goals to what it is, and ours were 3, which was to create a network where people can talk to each other, which is exactly what we're doing with Doc as well, which is specific to that, and then increasing opportunity to make and show, and then any training that we can do. So it's those goals, I think, that are the important thing. That when we first started something, we don't really know what we're doing. We're trying to figure out exactly what we're trying to do. It sounds like you're already thinking about, you're going to go down what it is that you're trying to do. So what the aspirations, the goals of it, who's it going to reach, who's it going to how will it improve maybe, like is more people going to see more people's documentaries, therefore their name gets out there more and increases their profile, if that's what they want to do. So a lot of people we work with aren't interested in becoming really well, not a lot, a few people aren't really interested in becoming like a well-known director or putting stuff out that everybody can see. They just like making a film and then showing it to their friends. So we try to cater for that as much as the most aspirational person who's determined to be the next Spielberg or whatever. You know, it's those sort of things, how open it is, establishing the goal and the aspiration of what that thing is, and trying to include as many people.
I wouldn't worry about people not coming down either, because in 75 it was something that kicked off and there was only 5 of us anyway. And you were so insistent, like tenacious, with sending out emails every week to those people and that we were going to meet every single week. But eventually people just couldn't ignore you anymore, and it was like, yeah, we're better going just to see what it's like. And then people stayed and it grew from that.
But you're not asking much, Court. I mean, 4 times a year.
And hopefully it's something that people are interested in, and then every year you're going to have a 2 or 3 day thing where you can all come together.
If you set up central communication as well, so we've got an email where you can send stuff out whenever you like. So some people don't wait till Wednesday, they'll email someone to go, I've got this coming up on a Monday, are you free? Like, yeah, and off they go. They don't then see us on Wednesday and go, right, look, this is Monday. So if you've got that central thing, people can stay in touch as they wish, how much they want, and you can almost access it at your own sort of your own moderation, really. Say, actually, I want to get more and more involved with it, so I'm going to send more stuff out to people, and people who decide just happen 4 times a year say, well, great,
Some of the, like yourself, Matt, you know, why are you here, and what is it you do, and I know you Nick. I know you know Nick.
It's very deep. That's a very deep question. Why am I here, and why do I do what I do?
I didn't mean on the earth. I mean, as in,
Well, I kind of sold out years ago. I wanted to get into television when I left university, and I ended up didn't want to go to London, so that's where the media hub was. So I stayed in Leicester, worked for a production company, and then set up my own 8 years ago now. So I've got a production company based at the depot. I was one of the first to move in. Grew from like a very small office to quite a big office with 2 edit suites, and 2 of us working full time, and other producers and cameramen work for us. But I do mainly corporate communications, because that's where I saw where the money is. There wasn't anything, no broadcast in Leicester. The nearest thing was Nottingham, which disappeared, Lenton Lane and Carlton, all those kind of things, and BBC kind of pulled out. So in the Midlands, for me, I make my money doing corporate communications. Do a little bit for the BBC, but it's mainly internal communication stuff rather than broadcasts.
so do you see value in something like this?
What value for what? What's defined value?
As in, like, you know, the time.
Yeah, well,
Networking.
the reason I'm here is I've got my head down for the last 8 years and built a business up, but it was in a certain direction. It was kind of a corporate direction. I'm interested in doing not just documentary films, but also short films, stuff that I was doing at university, which I've not done since. Talking 12, 13 years ago now. So I'm interested in documentary. I like watching documentary. I'm interested in short films. Interested in films. I've got the skills. I've got the equipment. I've got all that kind of thing, and a bunch of friends, not necessarily just in Leicester, but all over the country, that have kind of built up over the last 12 years. And it's for me, it's just interesting. I've not done anything down at the depot at the Phoenix other than go and see the artist and what was it called? Tinker Tailor Soldier Spot. That's the only thing I've kind of seen there. I've not really been, because time, you have to. I'm making a living from it, so just the 2 of us, 3 of us. You're either editing, or you're filming, or you're on the road, or you're sleeping or eating. The rest of it, there's not much time for the stuff. So. Yeah, I'm interested in making documentaries. I'm interested in sharing skills, sharing equipment, all that kind of thing. But it's kind of, you need to see what's the overall group kind of aspiration.
Yeah.
Is it to make a name for Leicester? Is it to make a name for the documentary film? Is it to put the Phoenix on the map? Is it to showcase individuals? Is it to work together to promote? I don't know, maybe a really highly polished product, or lots of little separate ones. It's like, there's lots, you need to kind of think.
I think that's the first thing we had. It was Stuart basically came up with that. We nailed the 3 things, which was create a network, increase production and exhibition, and train people who need it. And that moment we started by doing that just from say Jeff is fantastic in After Effects, graphic creation and animation. Occasionally, what we'll do every sort of 10 weeks is ask people what do you want to know more about, and everybody gets an opportunity to say something, and then if somebody has that skill within the group, we'll do a workshop on it, an introductory workshop. So about three or four sessions ago, Jeff did one on After Effects, just using the interface. This is how you can access it. So you get it. People who've never touched it before go, great, well, I can go home and now try it and do it. So those are the sort of three things that it's the aspirations that have to be nailed down really to give the group any sort of solidity of what it is. We can say, well, we're a documentary network, and that's it. We every quarter talk about what and where is it going.
Well, I think probably before we get some other ideas, I think from my initial viewpoint, it was a way of linking together the festival every year with a social scene that already existed, Doc Club. You know, that was the social side and talking and stuff like that. And then looking at the people that were coming to Doc Club, there were documentary filmmakers, there were people just interested in watching documentaries, and some quite interesting viewpoints. What I love about it is someone can watch a documentary and people come at it and it's like everyone's watching it from a completely different view. There'll be 20 people all watching it from 20 different sets of eyes, and you'll get people who come out of something like Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, you know, and they'll all be thinking roughly the same thing, you know, whereas you watch a documentary, I mean, certainly the guy, Big River Man, he still swims through my dreams occasionally, like the guy swimming up the Amazon, you know, it's probably freaked me out, that film, you know. I texted you that, didn't I? I said, I still dream about that guy who swims through my dreams. And really, I think the idea was that every quarter was just to put on an event and have, you know, like a guest speaker or a workshop or, you know, a particular skill to do with documentary filmmaking, and really come at it from people that were either existing documentary filmmakers looking to cross over a little bit or looking to get into it and see whether it was a useful business tool. You know,
it sounds like a different art of something. Yeah. So you've got like the festival, and also then the bi-monthly meetings for Doc and then a quarterly thing as well. Yeah. So it's like a different arm of whether the festival is the thing that is the actual parent of it, and everything else is.
And again, and it wasn't about necessarily, you know, I organise Doc Film Festival, but I don't necessarily want to own the network. Now, the thing is, it doesn't have to be constituted or any of that. I mean, the Doc Film Network literally could be, you know, on, you know, one Saturday every 3 months. You know, we could just use the Phoenix here and have a bit of a marketplace and use the screen room for, you know, screening some documentaries and getting someone to do a guest talk and stuff like that, and then people come and submit some ideas for the funding. It could be as simple as that.
Funding of what you're going to put in for it. A lot of funding is sort of constitution based, and you constitute a group with, you know, board of directors and that sort of thing. That opens you up to a lot.
Well, what we're trying to do is...
it's almost running before walking.
Yeah, but what it is, it's coming in from a different direction as well, by using something like Somewhere To, where you've got, you know, just for 16 to 25-year-olds, it's somewhere to do something. Or, you know, we get a certain amount of marketing budget with that. We give quite a lot of leeway with how we use it. So I'd rather take money from one particular source and then kind of put 4 or 5 bits of money together to then create a pot that got something which can be shown at a Doc Film Festival. I try and turn things up the other way rather than worrying about it. I look at the project and then go, what funding can we get and how can we bring it together to make the project happen? And then go to people to look to sponsor it and stuff like that, because they could use it as part of their output, or, you know, for their particular conference or something like that, rather than just doing it that way. So, you know, if it's just going to be a Doc Film Network is a group of people that have a central email base and maybe, you know, a blog that I can run and people can ask questions, and then we get people that answer business questions and stuff. I'm happy for it to be as simple as that. But if people think there's a need for a constituted group and all that, I don't know. That's why I really needed to ask what people thought, because obviously constituting it and all that kind of stuff, and these guys all know with your particular thing, suddenly it's a different ball game. You know, it's not having a beer around the table anymore, and it gets a bit, you know, bank accounts and stuff like that.
Try it out for a bit of time before we get into that.
Well, the thing is, you know, we've got, you know, potentially 3 meetings between now and the next festival, so we could meet in sort of April, you know, July. and then we can meet in sort of October, and then you're back to the festival again. So,
is there any room for more regularity?
There could be, but I know that to have, say, this space here, say this space here, something around there, and the screen room once a quarter with the Phoenix. Right. At the moment, it's a doable option. To do it more regular than that, because of more stuff that's coming in here, you're suddenly kind of on sort of sticky ground. Last year we were quite lucky. We had lots of people. And they were desperate for people. This year, they're getting more people off their own backs and events and stuff like that. So it's more about what we do is.
Maybe it's more official on the quarterly thing, but then in between that you can organise business.
Maybe, but then again, I think it's about maybe if we do that side of it, almost like the workshops and talks and support and all that sort of stuff, and in between. The thing that fills in those quarterly meetings are things like what you guys do, and then kind of like Doc Club maybe. It could be. I'm just low if someone comes along and goes, right, well, I'm interested in setting up as a documentary filmmaker or making a documentary, and I want help. Who do I go to? You know what I mean? It's about being very clear about what we do. They might turn around and go, well, actually, I've heard this big event coming up on Saturday, which is quite low key. It's 3 hours, lots of people come. Your guys from the producers group see the value in it, and like people like yourself and Paul might turn up, or George, because it's of interest to you, because you're looking for support in something you're doing.
It's like short cinema and just things as small as that, but then to bigger things where going to encounters and things, and getting that information out to people. Then you can. That's happened a few times where people have, rather than meet up regularly, we've just gone to encounters and done that instead. Yeah. So those things will happen naturally in between the quarterly meetings.
And that's it. And that's why I'm keen not to try and make it too often, because then it kind of impinges on. I don't want people to turn around and go, well, do I want to go and watch a documentary and have a social evening? I've only got like one babysitting ticket, one babysitting voucher left, or that kind of stuff.
Emails, because if it's central, then people can access it at the well. I want to. Say if somebody wants to get in touch with a particular person, they can just email them and say, do you mind if we meet up or something? And that's something if they're accessing it more by their own sort of moderation rather than.
So is everyone kind of quite happy and cool with like a quarterly thing? And maybe what I'll do is we'll just pick a date and we'll do one on a. Now, would people prefer an evening, or would you prefer a Saturday morning?
I can't do Saturday.
Saturday morning. Saturday afternoon.
Can't do anything. No, I can't. No, I work from.
Yeah. Okay.
Like
so would you think so? An
Evenings are normally
we
good
did like
for stuff like that.
Yeah. So if we did an evening.
It's quite normal, isn't it? Evening in the pub.
Yeah. So if we said something like where someone came along and from Dogwolf Indie or something like that, and just spoke for like 15-20 minutes what it was. We're more about pinning them in the corner and being kind of getting an answer to a specific question, or emailing in a question that they could answer and pitch their presentation at. Yeah. So if we did something in early April, and just give it a go and suck it and see what happens, and then take it.
So Saturday evenings, can't do anything before 5-6 o'clock.
Yeah.
Would you think of like recording it and web streaming it if it's something that's an interesting
I think
speaker?
So.
And
Our good friend Ambrose, as always, got a camera in your mush. Follows me around, stops me in the street. I'm on my way home. What are you doing? I think that would be quite, especially if like someone like Dogwolf Indie came up and spoke, or someone from like sort of a film production company, or if you've got someone talking sort of how to distribute your documentary independently, stuff like that.
It's brilliant, mate. It's great. It's more for people. It's another point, there's the Doc Club and 75 and various other things that people do.
And it's not about being the answer, it's just about kind of trying to think what is of use to people. What do you guys think?
For me, I don't know anyone here, so I'm quite new to Leicestershire, but I work in documentary, and I just kind of thought that coming to something like this, purely what I want to get out of it is just meet a few people that are doing a similar kind of thing. So for me, just kind of coming to something like this, it doesn't really matter like how the group is organised, just having a chat with people.
Okay. Cool. Definitely need to have a chat with Nick then about Doc Club.
Yeah.
Also with Paul and I've gone blank. Now I'm looking at Paul. There we go. Keith. Keith and Tom. There we go. Mate, I've only introduced one film. How many more have we got to go? Yeah, excellent. So, I know nothing about anything, mate. I just organise stuff. I don't actually know what I'm doing. As you just quite clearly saw. How about yourself?
Yeah, pretty much the same. Not that I'm new to Leicestershire, but I do work in corporate video myself, just self-employed. But I've got a couple of docs that I've started one with a trailer, so I'd like to network with other people and sort of pick up some ideas and maybe do some co-productions or something in the future.
And of course, and the thing that I think is really important as well, I mean, I think the common catalyst between all of us, apart from we know each other from being out there and through different events and being mates and stuff like that, is the fact that the kind of the Phoenix Square Film and Digital Media Centre, in brackets cinema, is cinemas, is a good venue, and it allows you to have that kind of flexibility. I think I totted up what the Doc Film Festival is, and it's like 14 screens over like 72 hours, and there's something like 78 hours of documentary we're showing, and about 87 documentaries, different documentaries in different lengths, from feature length to like 2 or 3 minutes, and you just think, well, we've got a great venue here. I'm not being funny. If you're not looking to, and this isn't a pitch, I'm saying, if you're not automatically thinking, red carpet event, premiere event for your documentary to whoever it is, this building needs to be working hard for your business, really, rather than you thinking of going somewhere else or thinking, London's the only place this kind of stuff happens. I don't see Doc Film Festival being Sheffield. That's not what I'm doing about. That is not my vibe. The Screen 2, 120 seats, industry average for cinema seats 26%, something like that, 28%. So if I sell 30 walk-up tickets, I'd rather give the rest of the tickets away. I've used all my community group networks to turn around and say, if your group's interested in this particular documentary and you give me your names, I'll give you 20 tickets. And that's what we've done. And the great thing about it is that we have to say to people, you've got to, you can watch a documentary on the television, but just at the bit where it's about to blow your mind or change your perception or bust a myth, you go, oh, toilet, yeah, can't make a cup of tea. Whereas I think when you're in a cinema, watching something like The Interrupters last week, I must admit I didn't think that would have the same impact on me from the trailer I'd watched on YouTube. To actually seeing it on the big screen would be completely different from watching it on the TV in your house. Yeah. And you said you watched it on the TV.
It probably, you might be.
It just kind of rolls. I think it just kind of rolls off you. So that's what it's about. So maybe maybe something like that, hosting a screening for people or something like that. Why shouldn't this building be the venue of choice? Lucy.
Hello.
Hello. You don't have to say anything. I was just looking at you, just thought you might want to say something.
I'm just learning. I'm completely new to this whole game, so I'm new on the scene and talk to me, teach me.
You know a few more people.
Yeah.
I know you've always got something to say.
I think it's a step in the right direction. A couple of years ago, I invited a film producer friend of mine up to Leicester to come and stay with me, discuss the possibility of making a feature film in Leicester. And when we looked into it, he pointed out that there were some serious flaws. That we don't have facilities here, we don't have a crew here, which means we'll have to bring in facilities from elsewhere, we'll have to pay overnights for crews. And that means that shooting a film in Leicester will be more expensive than shooting it in Nottingham or Derby or Birmingham. And so at that time I was sort of keen to find out what the potential was of having a lighting truck, having a sound stage somewhere, or a props shop someplace, and we don't have any of those sort of key facilities, list of makeup artists, all the rest of it. And if everyone getting together will be a step in that direction, and also bearing in mind that the costs of production are coming down enormously with digital acquisition. There's huge benefits there. But we still need the skill base, and we still need the facilities, and we still need those lighting trucks, and we still need those sound stages, and we still need all of those things in order to have, to go to the next level when it comes to production. Because I have my own HD production kit, and I'm sure a lot of people here do as well, which is nice. But I don't have like some 10k HMIs, I don't have big lighting trucks, and I don't have loads of gaffers and sparks and grips, and so there's a limit to what I can do without having to go to another city and do those productions elsewhere. And so without those facilities, it's going to be hard to get anything off the ground in Leicester. You'll always be tempted to go elsewhere. If we can sort of put our heads together and figure out a way of creating resources, or at least attracting interest and investment, then great. And if this is a step in that direction, then I'm all for it. That's how I feel about it.
No pressure then.
But is that documentary or is that drama?
Well, you see, that's...
Do you think a lighting
me,
truck for documentary?
I'm a bit of both, I'm afraid.
Yeah. You've said that
I'm a
before, it's
crossover.
almost like everything needs
But is this
to
about
background is
documentary?
fiction, but also documentary too.
Right. But would you need a lighting truck for a documentary?
Depends what you're doing, yeah. You would.
You would.
Depends on the project.
George?
I don't know, I think what we need to do for now is just sort of find out who everyone is, because I don't know anyone apart from you and Keith, and I think we should sort of
Keith's more useful to know than me.
exchange names, and
He knows more about what he's talking
we just need to sort of get in contact with each other. I think we should probably go around and just find out what everyone does, because I'm totally lost. I mean, I'm getting little bits and pieces from everyone, but it'd be nice to have a comprehensive if we can do that. And I think that'd be really useful, just to sort of initiate everything.
Right, well I'm just conscious, it is now 7 o'clock, and there's not many full glasses in. I don't know, I need another bit.
Yeah.
Should we have like a
Just
bar
chuck
break
on
and
in,
then come back together?
Listen.
Maybe not to sit like this and just pick on someone you want to talk to and go for it. But everybody's kind of genuinely, I think using Paul's analogy, we're taking a step in the right direction. Yeah.
Tom, George, one guy.
It's cool. Yeah, should we do that then?